And welcome to our TSL 8 replay for the day. I know I'm a little bit late on it. I've been trying to get to it. I'm back from my break, getting all the replays sorted, but we have an absolute banger. I'm sure all of you have heard of this series. Maybe some of you watched it live, but we're here to analyze. We're here to look at what actually happened. We're here to look at why Dark is just the handsomest man alive. And that's a proven fact. And so, with that being said, in the bottom left-hand corner of 2000 Atmospheres, in the upper bracket round 2, it is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Dark. And the top right, for Shopify Rebellion. The time this was played, he was on a hot streak. He was coming off of, a few very, very good weeks of play. Let's see if he can keep it up. It is Byun. Now, as I said, a lot of you have maybe seen this series, or a lot of you probably saw it live. It was definitely one of the most hyped up series of this round 2 for TSL 8. And I actually have not gotten I have not been able to watch it, actually. I did not catch it live. I was not able to really see what happened and to watch the game. So I'm actually really excited to kind of analyze it and see what happens. Because, of course, Byun's TVZ has always been, I think, his best matchup. Byun has actually kind of been in a similar, I'd say, column as Clem, where both of them have great TVZ. They have their issues in it, but their TVZ is their best matchup, and then their other ones kind of fall by the wayside. For Clem, I think his TVP is obviously very, very good, and I think is probably his second best matchup, more so than Byun's TVP is his second best. I think Byun, I actually don't know. I think Byun even maybe his TVT. It's really hard to say, but Byun has really, really solid TVZ. And one thing that I especially like about Byun recently, even, is the fact that Byun finally started mixing in late game units. For the longest time, it was kind of like the joke, like, oh my, it's Byun, he's playing TVZ, he's gonna stick on tier 2. There's no late game, it's just Marine, Marauder, Medevac, Mine, sometimes tanks, and Ghosts. But I remember about, I believe it was 2 weeks prior, or 2 to 3 weeks prior to TSL, I did manage to catch a replay series from an ESL Open Cup, where Byun did actually play against Dark in a best of 5. And in that series, Byun went late game Terran. I am talking tanks, Ghosts, Liberators, with your bio. Getting all of the tools that you necessarily need to beat a late game Zerg army. And he actually looked really, really good with it. His control looked really, really good. And so I would love to see that again, because Dark is a player who's absolutely willing to go to the late game, but he likes to force it mid to early. Dark is aggressive. Dark is very, very aggressive. And so, of course, I think that does kind of play to Byun, where that's obviously where he likes to be. He likes to trade. It can be a bit dangerous, though, because it can get Byun stuck. Because Dark is a player who, he will stay. He'll say Ling Bane, into Hydra Lurker. He'll go Roaches. He'll just constantly throw units at you. And if you get into the mindset of constantly trading against it and you don't get ready for your transitions, that's where kind of Byun can falter, can get stuck. And so we'll see what happens in this game, because we do see that Roach Warren going down. It is, at a decent timing. You're seeing that pop down right around 3:30, a little bit earlier even, for Dark. Likes to get out early Roaches. I mean, Dark, he is the OG. He's the OG Roach player. That's just it. Dark loves his Roaches. He's very, very good with Roaches, but just with how the meta is, they kind of have been fading out of popularity because of their efficiency. Because usually Zergs are going to want to go into Lurkers. That's just the go-to late game. And when you're going Roaches, Terrans will just build tanks. And the tanks are actually good against the Lurkers. So they don't need to change too much. They can just keep going tanks. And so that kind of makes it easier for the Terran, actually, if you do end up going for Roach Ravager, to transition. And so that's why we see a lot of players go Ling Bane. Now, we do have this drop moving out. You also have Hellions at the same time that are going to try and poke on into the third. It's just going to be the Marines at first. No stim done for them. Of course, Roaches should be able to clean that up fairly, very well. No workers really at this third base to speak of, and Dark just pulls away. No damage really gotten done from this opening from Byun, which was just a 1-1-1. Very, very standard into, of course, second gas, into Starport, into third CC, is going to be getting up into Cloaked Banshees. Queens are going to push away this medevac. Byun, you don't want to lose that. And then also the 2 more barracks being put down. So this is a completely standard opening from Byun. It gives you a reasonably fast 3rd CC. It's not as fast as a player like Clem will get theirs. Clem, what he'll do is he will actually end up skipping the 2nd gas. He'll go single gas, barracks, factory, single gas into a fast 3rd CC, and then add on his starport, 2nd gas, go into Banshees. So that is kind of the strategy for Clem. That's kind of the Clem build in this matchup. And it's just a slight variation, but the really big difference is, of course, just the timing on the CC and how many units you're able to get out. As Overseer's already out, Banshee's going to just have to pull away. Not going to be able to find any damage trying to fly straight on in. And Dark, well, 9 more drones. There's no issues. Dark got up his 5 roaches, his 7 roaches. And that's all that Dark is actually sitting on, because he knows that there's not going to be a convincing Terran push until 1-1. Realistically, this was not a 2-1-1 opening. There's not going to be a Terran push until that 1-1 is finished, and that should be right around the 7-minute mark. And so right now, Dark just kind of sitting pretty. I don't think there's really much of a threat to him. A 4th base should be going down, as there we go, right at 620. And now upgrades are going to start to come through for the roaches and also for the Hydralisk follow-up. There's the Hydra Den, Infestation Pit on the way. This means that you can immediately get on into your hive, start up the Lurker Den, and you're not going to really have a delay, ideally, between your Lurker Den finishing and having your hive done, and then getting into Lurkers. As Infestors are on the way, and it's going to be Infestor Roach. And this is the composition that Dark runs with a lot, is Infestor Roach. Dark has actually shown in the past a propensity for it, just because it's actually really good at clearing out lots of units. The AoE capabilities of Ravager Infestor are very, very strong with the fungal growths. But they're not out just yet, and Byun is going to look for a small push here at the side of the map. Has a decent army, but yeah, too many roaches to really push it. And interestingly enough, Byun has not really been able to exert map pressure. And this is something that Byun usually is very, very good at, is just having small clumps of units across the map, clearing up creep, exerting pressure. Has not actually done that at all this game. Has gone up to 3rd CC, is of course walling that off, is getting into his tanks, combat shields, all the upgrades that he needs. But there's nothing being really applied to Dark here. And of course, Dark is naturally a low economy player right now, only sitting at 71 workers, and already kind of looking towards that Roach max out. But even then, if you just leave the Zerg be, that can be very, very worrisome, because it means that Dark really has the ability to do whatever he wants with his build. Dark has the ability to do whatever he wants with his transitions. Again, it's a very early hive. He's going to be getting into quick Lurkers, and there's nothing that's really stopping him from doing that before he maxes out on roaches, because there's no threat that Byun is going to possess on the map before he can do so, with how little damage he's taken. So there we go. Adaptive Talons on the way. Seismic Spines will be the 2nd Lurker upgrade for Dark, who's trying to take a 5th. This should go down. This is a very dangerous 5th location. It can just be sieged by tanks. You can't really take it all together that easily. So the cancel goes down. We're just going to see the Marines start to kill off these creep tumors. We managed to snipe an Overlord, but Lurkers are out, and I believe Byun did get just a quick glimpse of them. Does Byun have his Ghost Academy? He does not. So, the timing here for Byun, and I'm actually a bit worried. And the reason is, you already have Lurkers out, you have Infestors out. Byun has been building tanks, which of course is great. Get out tanks, get the +1 upgrades for them. That's obviously the first part of it, but there are no ghosts. And you want to get ghosts as your 2-2 upgrades are starting. The standard timing is to get your Ghost Academy, start 2-2 upgrades. Because the Ghost will help you deal with the Vipers. The Ghost will help you deal with the Infestors. The Ghost will help you snipe the Lurkers if they try and dive on top of your tanks. And so they're just such a useful unit to have, especially earlier than Byun does. Because as it is right now, Byun is just working with Marine Tank. And sure, Marine Tank can trade well, and it can fight well. But against the complexity of Dark's army, it's going to be very hard for Byun to actually trade. Because as soon as Dark decides to pull the trigger with these Vipers, there's not really much of a say that Terran has in it. So we immediately see one bile going down on the tank. There's a very deep line of units here for Byun, which is kind of a saving grace, and that Ghost Academy will be going up behind this, so he will have the ability to get onto them. But there we go, abducts go out, tanks are going to get killed. You don't have snipes or EMPs to stop this. That's just a straight up loss for Byun of units. And Dark is not really being threatened as fourth. Now, for Dark, does not have a fifth up. This did manage to get pressed by Hellbats, has not started a fifth base, but he's just going to try and commit to the fight. This is a bit aggressive. You don't actually have your tech units with it just yet. The full growth goes down, but doesn't get a ton of value. And Byun trading fairly decently considering how, you know, uncomplicated his army is. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But when going up against high-tech units, you do need the answer to them. And Byun does not have that just yet. Two tanks are going to siege on up. Dark just going to push on forward. 3 corrosive biles. And just snipe that one down. But it's a planetary fortress. It is a tank. You can't really push into this position while you're not maxed out as Dark, who is getting his 5th hatchery up. Ghosts finally on the way. Cloak. Personal cloaking on the way. As well as vision. Sensor towers. Byun. I mean, at this point, what you really want to see. Yeah, these tanks move forward. I mean, missile turrets placed down in forward positions. As it should be 2 lurkers that go down. There we go. Nice pickoffs. But missile turrets and command centers in forward locations with a tank to help for things like lurker run-bys. As Dark is preparing another critical mass of units. Max out. 200 out of 200 supply. Looking for this 3rd base. Is Byun in position. Not entirely, but he has a nice wall off. Vipers gonna use Parasitic Bomb. Not exactly the best use of energy right off the bat. Snipes are gonna go down. Lurkers pushing forward. This base should be forfeit. Byun has to pull away the SCVs. 2 of them go down. Tanks get abducted. So very, very good trades there from Dark. Again, Byun wasn't able to snipe the Vipers. Dark actually kept them pretty far back until he wanted to cast his spells, and at that point, there was not really enough energy or APM available for Byun to also EMP them. And now Dark, I mean, sitting 200 minerals, or 2,000 minerals, hasn't saturated this 5th base. Still sitting actually at a lower worker count than the Terran. Again, this is what Dark does. It's a very, very low worker count. He does not work at, you know, with a high or a large economy. That is not how Dark does it. And he's just stopping this base from mining, making sure that Byun is on low of an economy as possible. You should see, and his infestors should start to get sniped here by the Cloak Banshees. Very, very nice use of these units that have been alive since the beginning of the game, mind you. You force out, you know, you get kills on those units for free. You're absolutely loving that, as there's going to be a push of units here into this 4th base. It is just Lings and Lurkers, though. As Dark is trying to, once again, push his 3rd base down. Abduct onto the tank. Tank goes down. Hydra's trying to focus down the CC. Should be able to get it. And Dark finds the damage now. Also burrowing on into the planetary fortress. Byun, it doesn't look like he can defend both places at once. Dark was just able to hit the army supply count that he wanted. Oh, the planetary stays up. Great snipes from Byun. Brings the ghosts over. He's able to at least keep that alive. Loses 18 workers, but that doesn't really matter. Byun did have a high enough worker count that, you know, that's not the worst, but even then, guess what? Dark, 178 supply. Has enough money to go for another remax, and of course it's a situation where if Byun had time, if he was able to remax himself, if he was able to, you know, establish this at a base, he could absolutely get back into this game. Because for Byun, the name of the game is, oh, I just need to trade efficiently now. Dark is not going to give him that time. You see Dark is already preparing this army here. Even though this base has been replaced, there's a lurker there to stop any mining. You know, Dark is just going to commit on into the fight because he knows that he can't get beyond that time. Snipes are going to try and go down, but you already have the adaptive talent, so that speed burrow is going to come through. GG. Dark going to take game number 1. Honestly, dominating game number 1. Very few moments where it felt like he was in danger, where it felt like he was going to, you know, ever have a chance of losing an engagement. From Dragon Phoenix Gaming, it is Dark. And at the bottom right, I'm going to bring it back. It's Byun. And interestingly enough, actually, I know that, so recently, so after, of course, these games were played, I think it's just been in the past month. So kind of in December into January, Byun actually has started, on this map especially, doing 2-Rax Reaper again. Interestingly enough, Byun has started doing 2-Rax Reaper again because these mineral patches can be mined out with 1 worker. There's 5 minerals in each one. And so you can actually end up going 2-Rax Reaper in your main. And this is what Byun has been doing. Of course, not going to be doing this game. It's just barracks gas. But mines out both mineral patches. And then suddenly, or actually only 1, because you build your barracks here. You only need to mine out 1 mineral patch with your first scouting SCV. And he would send Reapers across and actually has been applying pressure with 2-Rax Reaper. And it's actually really cool how that is the build that Byun has decided, hey, yeah, that's what I want to do on this map. And it's actually been really, really efficient. So kind of like looking at it in hindsight is really interesting because that's just a build that I think has come out of this map being a lot harder to play in a macro game. And that's mostly because of the 3rd base locations. As the Terran, especially in late game, when you have a 3rd and 4th that are kind of opposite like this, both on low ground, it's very hard to have enough defenses in both positions. When the Zerg is getting up into Hydra Lurker, when they split their army up, and then try and apply pressure on both of them, it's very hard to have defenses in both spots. Of course, it's a very short distance between the both of them. You only have this high ground, but even then, once you need to take a 5th base, neither of those 5ths are really comfortable for a Terran, because they're going to put you very far out of position from your 4th base. And so what you end up seeing sometimes is that the Terran will actually take a 3rd and then take a 4th directly up from that. But that is kind of uncommon. It's one that is definitely kind of like a food for thought. Like, ooh, would that work? Worker goes down. Very, very nice micro there from Byun. Gets a Zergling and a worker. But as for the Zerg, when defending on this map, it's quite nice. With the rush distance between these maps, or between the bases being lower, with the actual travel distance between your 3rd and your 4th being so quick, you can reposition your army very, very quickly, and you're not really going to have any trouble with that. And so it makes defending very nice on this map. Which I think is why you've ended up seeing, actually, Byun, again, kind of in the future, where we are casting this from, go back to aggressive plays, go back to proxies, go back to 2-Rax Reaper, to try and slow down the Zerg, so you can then apply more pressure later with a 2-1-1 kind of timing, so you already have the 2 barracks, and then kill them from there. As it is going to be a Roach Warren on the way once again for Dark, so just doing his standard dark business. The evil Lord of Zerg. Just knowing exactly how he wants to play it out. As Byun also going for the exact same build, so it was the 2nd gas before 3rd CC, getting on into a Cloaked Banshee. So that kind of rhymed. And we will just be seeing a Tech Lab on the barracks that will be starting up Stim. And you're poking around with the Reaper, with the Hellions. Byun looks like probably going to go up to 6 to 8, I imagine. Has the money to go up to 8. You're not really going to be looking to get into Widow Mines just yet. And it looks like he's going to swap it over. Leave that add-on for one of his additional barracks. And then get into the Widow Mines on that factory. As is Roach production out from Dark. Layer on the way, so we will be able to get the Wheel Reconstitution. Once again, Byun trying to poke on in here to see what's going on. There is no workers at the 3rd. Again, Dark, super low economy in the early game. I mean, Dark got his roaches before he starts saturating his 3rd. That's how much he prioritizes map control. That's how much he prioritizes this unit production. And now, because he has these roaches out, there's not really, any Hellion harass. It's going to threaten these roaches. There's not really Banshee harass. He has Spore Crawlers up. Dark has enough to defend, and so from here, it's just going to be pure drone production. 9 at a time. Just absolutely just rocking that economy forward, because he knows that he's confident in the defensive capabilities that he has with these units. Yeah, does have his third CC finishing up. Stim on the way. Tank production has started. So it looks like he actually built a second reactor for another barracks and then swapped over from the tech lab on the starport, so that got its own reactor. And they're just going to immediately go into the marine production. So this is actually a really optimized way of getting a lot of production very quickly. Your medevacs will start up when you need them, not any earlier. So you're actually going to have bio units for them to support by the time they come out. And now Byun pokes on in with the Banshees. Actually is already going to be able to find value, so a much better start than last game. 6 drone kills. Going to try and push down this queen. Should be able to get the kill. And already, yeah, a lot more value than Byun got in game number 1. Look at that, 9 drones go down. That's absolutely the value that you need from these Banshees, because again, Dark has been building nothing but workers up until this point. He got the roaches, got the queens, got the spores. It's just been the D key. That's all that Dark has been pressing. Or, you know, whatever he presses. Maybe he uses grid or the other hotkey layout they use sometimes in Korea. I forget which one it is. But now, you know, Dark, he's at 70 workers. He's at 3 bases. This is where Dark is comfortable. And he's going to immediately get into the infestors, into the hive. It's the exact same transition. And again, a very low worker count. You'll see players like Rogue, like Raynor, they go up to 90 workers. That is not how Dark does it. He likes smart control. He likes to be aggressive. Ooh, very, very good dodge with that drone. So the 4th base will finally start coming up, but it's going to be continued road production. I imagine that will continue up to about 160 supply when you're going to start to get into the lurkers, because that lurker den is on the way. You don't really want to get lurkers before their upgrades are finished, just because it's not really efficient. Lurkers without their upgrades are very, very slow. Their attack range is not that high, and so they struggle to really find value even against just stimmed bio, Marine Marauder. Now, 1-1 is going to be finishing up, so for Byun, again, I would like to see an earlier Ghost Academy. I think that's absolutely what you need to do here. I think that's what kind of shot him in the foot the last game, when he didn't have Ghosts to help deal with the infestors, to help deal with the Vipers, to deal with the lurkers. And by the time he got them out, there were too many units for Dark, and he was just able to snowball that to a win. So I would like to see that Ghost Academy go down. You know, as soon as 2-2 starts up, as soon as Byun has the gas for it, you know, start mining gas to this 3rd base. You absolutely need it. When you're playing against lurkers, he doesn't know it's lurkers, he knows it's roach right now, but when you're getting tanks and also trying to get upgrades, you're going to be using a lot of gas as Terran naturally. So it is important to get those 5th and 6th gases at your 3rd base. Byun is looking to push here and has a decent army. Marine Marauder, medevacs. There's a lot of roaches in there, of course, is these infestors, which have not been seen just yet. Dark pockets them here. In case Byun had pushed forward anymore, could just get that infestation or fungal growth. And now you're having Byun look for this push. +2 is going to start up behind it again, though doesn't have a lot of gas to work with. This is a very gas-intensive composition, so you kind of need that gas. Oh, that's a great fungal growth. Should be able to get a chain 1 to help get that group of Marines dead. Tanks picked up, got out. Byun gonna run away, but he's down 40 supply. What is he doing? Well, he's just gonna push down now the 5th base. There's absolutely no way that Byun really wants to try and fight straight up against this army until he has all of his answers up. So you're just gonna counterattack. You're gonna kill the 5th. You know that, you know, Dark likes to go on a low economy. You know that that's his 5th base. Just getting the kill on that is absolutely worthwhile. It forces Dark to respond, and you're able to then build up behind this. As 2-2 has started, +1 is on the way for your tanks with the 2nd factory. This is where you need the Ghost Academy. If you are Byun, you're at 8 barracks. I mean, 4 CC on the way. Once that 4th command center lands, you need to start getting your ghosts, because pretty soon it is going to be lurkers. There's already 4 Hydralisks out. Those are just ready for the morph. And there we go. It's going to start up. Seismic Spines is ready. Adaptive Talons is done, which is, of course, the more important one. With Adaptive Talons, it just makes you, it allows you to push a lot easier with the lurkers than if you don't have it, because they can burrow so quickly. As Byun, gonna try and push this, but that is a lot of roaches. They do have +1/+1. You're just fighting it with Marine Marauder. Gonna have to pick on up and get out. This Ghost Academy is coming down at a much better time for relatively for when these lurkers are coming out. As the Banshee still alive, still kind of poking around and getting information, surprisingly, for Byun. Skilled pullback there on the Corrosive Biles. And right now, you know, Dark, his army is mostly roaches. 24 roaches, 10 ravagers, only 4 lurkers. Then you also have the 2 infestors and 2 vipers. So surprisingly enough, I think Dark in this game is actually on a worse unit composition. I think Byun has been able to apply just a little bit more pressure, and that's meant that Dark has had to get to a higher roach count. And because of that, he hasn't been able to get into as high quality of an army as quickly. Mind you, in the last game, Dark cut his roach production at 160 because Byun was not really attacking. Byun was not really pressing. And so that meant that he was able to get a lot more lurkers. He was able to get up into 4 infestors, 3 vipers, and he will start to now remake his army. So the nice thing is that Dark still has map control, still has half the map here covered in creep. So he can still press out. He can still attack with Roach Ravager. He can start to trade it away while trying to still get value with these units and preparing his transition. Let's look at those upgrades coming through. +2 ranged weapons and armor and carapace upgrades. Adrenal Glance for the Lings. He is actually working right now, I believe. No, just on... Oh yeah, it's 3 Evo chambers because they're +1 melee as well. And then the +3 missiles. I mean, Dark. Sure, it's only 78 workers, but working on an absolutely booming economy and absolutely making use of it. But the worry always is the gas count for Dark. You don't have a lot of gas, and so if these armies trade, what are you remaxing on? Well, you're going to be remaxing on Zerglings. That's about it. This tank in the main, going to get rid of the Nidus Worm. This is a good move. You see Maru do it a lot, especially as having just 1 tank in the main base, covering all the Nidus Worm positions. And Byun just sitting back. Scans forward. He's going to be able to snipe off these Ravagers and push it forward. Yeah, Dark not paying attention. As this is cheeky. This is cheeky. Placing the Nidus Worm right next to the tank so it can't fire. Obviously a nice move, but doesn't end up working out. As, ooh, nice fungal growths. Again, for Dark, you want to trade away this Roach Ravager, but you want to do it efficiently. You don't want to just lose it to snipes. You don't just want to lose it to these units, as Byun is going to clear up creep on the right side of this map. And actually should be able to push down, actually the hatchery, maybe? Snipes, 2 lurkers go down. That's good. Byun, just kind of recognizing, hey, how much damage do I have? And that was being a bit aggressive there with those lurkers, but now parasitic bombs go out, fungal growths. Gonna try and finish off these medevacs. Marauder is dropped, but its life is forfeit. As the small group of units is just going to be clearing up creep, and Byun doing a good job of doing so, and making sure that, you know, Dark isn't getting too much map control without Byun contesting it. And right now the ghost count sitting at 12 already. 4 more being added on. 4th base finished. More CCs being added. Byun looks a lot better in this game. Look at that lurker count from Dark. 19 lurkers from the Korean Zerg. As the hero Marauder actually is going to be able to cancel and kill the drone trying to build that base. There we go. Dark finally cleans it up. Is taking his 6th base now. As 3-3 is going to finish up for the lurkers. And this is the real dangerous moment. Although, Byun, good scan. Actually manages to see the complete worker count. Oh, that was a great burrow. I think Dark realized that Byun was going to go for that. Gets the burrow. Manages to stop the snipes. And now he's going to push forward the ghosts. Had to pull all the way back in Dark. What is the plan here? This tank actually can fire. And the ghosts have a high ground position. Not exactly what you'd like. Just losing a few lurkers here for free. More snipes going to try and go down. Ooh, need a scan. As this tank line is large. How many tanks? 13 tanks for Byun. A very, very healthy count. This pathogen gland's on the way, so it is actually going to be more infestors for Dark. As now Liberators and tanks coming out, Byun really trying to get into this late game army. And this is the play that I wanted to see from Byun. Again, I said, he looked really good with this army composition. You know, additional CCs, additional bases, just getting up a massive tank line that is very, very well defended. I mean, you could even see a command center here. Byun has the money for it. As Dark gonna try and push on in. Bio is here to fight. Tanks are fighting with the scans. Where are the ghosts now? Finally coming through. Snipe's gonna go down. Might not quite be enough, but Dark, I mean, his supply just drips massively. The base will go down, but Byun can remax, can rebuild. This is, of course, why it's good always to have those extra command centers. More snipes gonna follow. Base does go down to the high ground lurkers. As Byun looking to rebuild. 4 more ghosts, 2 more command centers, more tanks. More snipes going down. And the control, I mean, is just so deadly for both these players. If you just mismanage it a little bit, the other opponent can come in and try and clean it up. As we do see a small little bailing run by getting ready here on the right side of the map. Only is the single... Oh no, there's 3 tanks, yeah. Byun should be plenty defended, but here we go. Zerglings and Banelings coming on in. Tanks, a lot of splash damage already going through. Baneling's gonna try and roll on into the mineral line. We do manage to clean up the base, get 11 workers, but Byun is just gonna reposition the command center. Gonna do the same on the left side of the map as well. And I'd like to see some workers being rebuilt here. You know, I know you have a lot of mules, but you need those scans, and so I think for Byun, especially, I would really like to see, you know, I would like to see redroning or re-SCVing. I think that's absolutely what you need to do. As this is a bit of an aggressive move here by Dark. Loses a lot of lurkers for no reason. 57 workers for Byun. Just feels like you want a little bit more than that. As Byun has been able to exhaust Dark's mineral bank. But Dark committing in once again. He doesn't really care. I mean, this is what Dark does. He just fights constantly. His blinding clouds go down. Absolutely massive. Still not enough, though. There's so many ghosts. There's so many tanks. And again, Dark doesn't take the best fight. Dark trying to force the issue as 9 infestors on the way. Dark says, you know what my issue was? I didn't have enough spellcasters. And of course, the fungal growth's extremely useful. Does he have... Ooh, also does have Neural Parasite, which can be very, very nice. 14 lurkers. Dark remaxing once again. But look at this tank line coming out from Byun. How many does he have? 18 tanks, 15 ghosts. An absolutely impressive army that Byun is fielding on the map again. He's only at 61 workers, which is better. I'm glad he got above 60. Ooh, snipes go down. Lurkers fall. These ghosts just pushing forward so aggressively because they can. Ooh, fungal growth goes down. The ghosts should be able to get away. Let's look at these. Look at these infestors. Oh, the Neural Parasite! The EMP onto the entire clump of ghosts. Oh my. I mean, we've seen it in the highlights, but that move. Oh, Dark, that was brilliant. As here we go. Now he's gonna commit on in. He knows there's no snipes. But I mean, is this army even high enough value though? Scan's gonna go down. Blinding Cloud goes down. I mean, you really should just target these tanks. You don't want them to kill your own tanks. And there's more Neural Parasites where those came from. Yeah, just kill them. There we go. Tank fire versus tank fire. I mean, Dark can't really push it. Even with that move, Byun keeps the ghosts alive and keeps the tanks alive for the most part. So it was cute, but it's not going to be enough to give Dark the game. But it's going to be enough. It's going to be enough to buy him time. Is the thing. And right now, Dark, I mean, he's sitting once again at a 3K bank. He's sitting once again at a massive economic advantage. Now has gone up to 91 workers as another neural parasite onto these tanks. Finally, snipes are going to go down, but you lose a tank for it. But you would have lost anyway. And Dark just expanding all over the map. And look at this. Right now, sitting on 8 bases, a 9th has been built, trying to take a 10th from his opponent. And now committing once again on into this planetary fortress. There's a lot of tanks here, though. Again, Dark trying to force the issue, but it feels like he has enough money to really... doesn't need to commit on in. Still, of course, would like to. You're trying to trade out right here. You know you have a large bank. You know you can trade. As scan goes down, lurkers burrow, but you're going to lose all of them to the snipes. Very, very nicely done from Byun. As Byun's going to try and push down the space, but look how many Zerglings have been built. Screw the focus fire onto the drones. It's a good amount of damage. Gets on out. Fungal growth not able to catch them. And for Byun, I would really like to see... I would really like to see extended missile turret lines. I would really like to see them. Because they can help deal with the burrowed infestors. And it doesn't really cost that much. It's 100 minerals. I feel like, you know, pushing the CC line, you know, pushing command centers forward, pushing forward missile turrets can absolutely help deal with these burrowed infestors, which are so dangerous. As we have a Liberator sieging on up. We'll just find some kills onto some larvae. That's going to be just about it, actually. Spore Crawler has to be moved to deal with it. CC trying to float onto location. Dark trying to retake this base. At the same time, oh, Dark's committing on in. These tanks, they're a bit far forward. There is no planetary fortress here to help Byun defend. As the Banelings roll forward, they don't get the damage, though. EMPs onto all of the infestors. And once again, Dark forces the issue, but scan goes down. Ghosts are here. They have energy. Supplies are now even. Dark remaxes. 12 Ultralisks. Oh, I felt like Byun could take that fight. Just didn't think he controlled it well enough. There we go. Scan goes down. Burrowed Infestor is dead. Dark has to unburrow, get away, but 2 bases go down. Byun has been able to clear up this hatchery in the top right. I mean, Byun's economy is suddenly down to 28 workers. Dark just takes control of the game, absolutely snowballs it out of control. And now suddenly Byun is stuck into a corner where he needs to build, where pretty much he needs to build an unkillable army, is what Byun needs to do. He needs to build an army that can fight and win engagements over and over again, which is more tanks, more ghosts. We're not actually building more ghosts right now. Sitting at 17, I don't feel like is quite enough. He doesn't know about the Ultralist transition, is now going to see it. There's actually even more where that came from. It's a full surround from Dark. This might be it. Dark's going for the killing blow. Everything's out of position. There's no defensive planetaries to help. There is nothing for Byun to retreat back to. As the Ultras collapse on in, the Ghosts fighting their hardest. Ultras actually might all go down. The Ghosts, they're just sniping from behind the mineral line. All the Ultras are gonna fall. But Byun loses another base. But Byun loses another base. 9 workers to 71. There's a remax for Dark. There's no remax for Byun. This is all of his money. He has this one base. And even then, you need the energy for scans. You can't mule it. Byun needs to make it work now. You know, he knows, I mean, the gas income is fairly low for Dark. This is, I mean, mining base here, not mining gas. Gas is out at every other base, aside from these 2, and Dark isn't mining from there as, oh. I heard it, but I think the snipe went down. The neural parasite was canceled. I mean, you heard it. You heard it. Byun managed to EMP in time, but another infestor. If these ghosts are out of energy, that is it. If these ghosts don't have energy, that is the game. A missile turret's being built, but there's the EMP! Dark does it again! And look at this army from Dark. There's a lot of tanks. There's a lot of Zerglings as well. I mean, Dark needs to commit on in, is the thing. Dark needs to commit on in before these ghosts can rebuild their energy. Oh, and he's committing into the natural. Dark says, listen, I know you want to rebuild. I'm not going to let you do that. Your main base is going to be forfeit. You're going to have to bring everything back to try and just deal with these Zerglings. And then when that happens, he might commit at the front. Oh, but Dark, these moves. Nidus Swarm on into the main base. Doesn't look like there's anything inside of it. Can't bring reinforcements through. Bases have to be lifted. The Zerglings will get cleaned up eventually. But here we go. Dark again coming onto the front, into the tanks. Are there enough tanks here to hold? I don't know. There's no planetary fortress. The Banelings roll through. The focus fire onto the Infestors is good, but these tanks were the last line of defense for Byun. Snipes go down. It is just these ghosts. It is one ghost. It is 6 Marines, 5 Marauders against the indomitable economy of Dark. Still 72 workers has now saturated the extra bases. Byun's gonna try and fight. You can't really push on in though if these units get caught out. Oh, the snipe onto the full medevac. Oh, Dark, you are just glorious. The map control from the Zerg. Just the utter, pushing in, constantly taking fights, constantly attacking. I mean, these Lings actually aren't going to be able to fight that well. Ghosts do very, very well against them. And if Byun can kill bases, maybe he can get back into this game. These are the only 3 mining bases of Dark. If you can kill them, if you can get rid of them, this army is still dangerous from Byun. It's 62 army supply. Sure, you're going to lose the main, but just kill as much as you can. Sure, you're not going to be mining. But for Byun, this is it. He needs to commit to this attack. He needs to fight. You know, kill Hydras as they're building. Byun, this is all he has. 52 army supply of units versus the 66 of Byun, or of Dark, but it's mostly in Zerglings. It's 100 Zerglings. That might just be too many. That might just be too many Zerglings. Byun, he has to push. He has to attack. He can't wait. This is all he has left. Infestor. It's gonna look for the Unburrow Fungal. If this fungal growth goes off, that is it. That is game. Never mind, it's just another EMP. Honestly, the EMPs aren't even that useful, though. I feel like the fungal growth would have been better. But is it going to matter? Look at the army for Dark. 117. 117 Zerglings. Byun. Oh no, the command center. Will it burn? I think the answer is a yes. The CC is not long for this world. This is Byun's last 2 command centers. And this is the army that he has to fight against. Byun's control is good, but does it matter when Dark just has enough economy to build enough of an army to be able to A-move and surround? I don't think so. Bases are going down. I mean, Byun, he's getting value, but if you commit on in, this is it. You commit into this base. If you are not able to get out of here, then it's going to be Dark, who should be able to find this around. As look at all of those Zerglings. Look, I mean, oh, the Infestor. I mean, it doesn't even matter at this point. The snipes don't matter. You actually just need the fungal growths. Let's see where we go. I mean, Byun, he's gonna try and just do something. EMPs go down. Byun tries to get out, but I mean, this is the army that's left. GG is called. Dark. An absolutely amazing game number 2. Both players a great game too.